Okay, so um, first question, describe your thoughts after watching the videos about how the internet has driven change and the lecture from Professor Wesh. It's actually kind of cool looking back at that time in like 2008. That's when I was graduating high school, and looking back, that stuff looks so old. But you know what, I'm almost 30, so but it's just interesting to see the changes that have happened since I was in high school to now. Um, and, you know, the internet just, there's so much more, being a para, there is so much more like computer usage and stuff in classrooms now. Uh, you know, teachers, you know, really rely on that anymore to help teach a lesson or things like that. um, see, what were the primary messages from the videos or lecture? I mean, pretty much what I got from the videos in the lecture is that that the internet is ever evolving and it's ever changing, and it's always, at this point in time, always going to be a primary factor in what we do anymore. It's constantly getting better. And I mean, people, like I said, it's relied on anymore. That's how students take tests, how people like myself can take their college courses. It's something that's important. And I do relate to those messages because, like I said, in 2007 and 2008, I was an 18-year-old at that time. And I mean, it's just, technology is just so much more in my life now than it even was back then. I mean, off my phone and taking courses online, and then my work at a grade school with kids. I mean, half of what they do is, you know, on computers and on the internet. And so anyway, and what implications do the messages have for you as a future teacher? Well, like I said, being in a classroom, I know how much technology is already being used at the elementary level. And I know in our district that students, once they reach middle school level, they have their own Chromebooks, they have their own computers. So, I mean, if you're not familiar with technology, you should be, because it's just growing and becoming more part of students' lives than it ever was before. So the podcast that I listened to, it was a teacher podcast. It was kind of like a science podcast. I forgot what it was called because I listened to it last night. But it was a teacher podcast, and it was pretty much like answering questions like, how does a plant grow? And so it gave the kids step-by-step like interaction of how a plant grows and stuff like that, which I think is really cool, because I know there's stuff like that used in the school that I work in. That we have like Ask Doug's, which are not necessarily podcasts, but it's, you know, information and something you can use from the internet that teachers use to help teach science class, which is really interactive. And I feel like science is something that it's very hands-on. You have to see it, like plants growing, or, you know, atoms and all those things. So it helps give kids more of a visual of what they're learning, which is a good thing for kids because kids like pictures. So what are ways that, you know, like podcasting, blogging can be used in the classroom? Oh gosh, they could be used for, I mean, used in your lessons for anything. You can use that stuff for anything. It's so informational, and it helps. I mean, it helps the kids that you're teaching, not only yourself that you can use these things, but you're also teaching the kids that you can use these things as well. Like if you have a question, or if you know, they have all these resources that they can use, which I think is really cool. Should social networking like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram be allowed? Depends on the age. You know, I feel in the grades that I work with, 3rd through 5th, they're kind of getting to that point where they can abuse they would abuse it. They would be looking at things they're not supposed to, or they'd be online when they shouldn't be. And I mean, there's positive and negatives. I don't, you know, me being in a classroom all day long, I don't know why a 3rd grader would need to have a Facebook or a Twitter or Instagram. I mean, YouTube, I think, is kind of that happy medium that they can use because they can listen to music or they can find, somebody talking, doing a lecture or whatever. If they're trying to, learn more about something, then I feel like YouTube's kind of a good place because there are like educational videos and stuff. But I don't see a reason why kids need to be on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram while at school. There's nothing extremely educational. I mean, yeah, you can find like, news articles and stuff like that. But when kids are getting on that stuff, that is not what they're getting on for. I mean, I know I'm not like, what can Facebook teach me today? No, that's no. The cloud-based bookmarking tool I used was the Google one. I'm really dumb when it comes to technology, and I thought that one was the easiest. Um, and it was super easy. Like you could just type it in, you find it, you bookmark, you're good to go, move on. Like it was super easy. So I really like that one because anything that's just, I like basic. Okay. I'm old. I like basic. So, anyway, yeah. So those are all the things. And you're welcome.